Before we get into the specifics of moving around content in the timeline, let's talk for a minute about Resolve's housekeeping. Up to this point in the tutorial, you've been working in a project called Nelson Teaser 2. But let's say that you wanted to hand off your work to an editor working on another workstation, or perhaps you wanted to move this project to a laptop so you can work on it on the road or at home. To hand off the project, you'll need to export it. From the File menu, choose Export Project. You can save the file wherever you like because the file you're about to export is just a text file that contains the instructions needed for Resolve to reconstitute all of your edit decisions. To be clear, you're not exporting the media with the project, just the instructions for how that media is organized and put together in the timeline. If you want to include the media, that's a separate operation we'll get to in another lesson. Navigate to the project media folder you downloaded for this tutorial. Save the file into the folder named Edit Page DRP. Click Save. The current state of your project is now saved as a tiny text file that can be shared in the cloud, placed on a server, or emailed. For the next several lessons, you'll be working from a project I exported for you that contains a number of pre-built timelines you'll be working from. Press Shift-1 to open the Project Manager. Right-click anywhere in the window and choose Import Project. Navigate to the folder you saved the project into. You should see the project you just exported, plus another project named Nelson Teaser 2 Stages. Both of these files have DRP extensions, which stands for DaVinci Resolve Project. Select the file and click Open. The project thumbnail appears in the Project Manager. Double-click it to open it. The project is imported, but the media is offline. Media becomes offline when the links between the clips and where the media is located is broken. This can often happen when the media is moved to another computer or when the folder names are changed. In this case, the media is offline because Resolve is still looking for the media on my local drives, and unless you're on my computer, Resolve does not know where to find it. So you need to know how to reestablish the links. Just above the media browser is the Relink button. It will appear orange whenever there's one or more clips offline. Select it, then in the Relink media window that appears, click Locate, then navigate to your downloaded folder of media. Select it, then click Open. Resolve quickly relinks to the media, and the timeline is reconstituted. Now that the clips are online, look in the master bin, and you'll see a number of timelines named after the lesson they refer to. These are the timelines that contain the Nelson Teaser 2 edits at various stages in the process. I labeled them with a lesson number so you can easily locate the appropriate timeline to follow along. Double-click the Lesson 8 timeline to open it. As your timeline gets more complex, it becomes more difficult to quickly locate a specific shot or group of related shots. In the bins list, select both the Interview bin and the BCam bin. Drag a box around all the clips to select them, then right-click and choose Clip Color, Navy, or any other color you prefer. Now let's color code all the retro clips. Select that bin, click inside the clip browser, press Command A to select them all, then choose a lime color. And finally, let's color code all the B-roll clips and make them a pink color. With this differentiation in color, it's now easier to locate these categories of clips in the timeline. Move the playhead over the pink B-roll clips at the beginning of the timeline. Press Command plus a few times to zoom in. On Windows, press Control plus. Sometimes you just want to change the order of clips, which is to say, we just want to swap them. To move the Rusty Cruiser clip before the Old School Bus clip, hold down the Command and Shift keys, then drag to the left until the left edge snaps in alignment. Then release the mouse. For Windows, you hold down Control and Shift. You can also swap multiple clips. Select clips 2 and 3 in the B-roll group, then press Command-Shift and drag them both to the beginning of clip 1 and release your mouse. Play those back and the clip sequence has been completely rearranged. Deleting clips is almost as important as adding them. If a shot is not adding anything to the story, or worse, detracting from it, it must go. Let's look at a fast way to locate a clip. In the upper toolbar, click the Edit Index button. The Edit Index is like a big spreadsheet with a running list of every media asset in your timeline and all its associated metadata. Scroll over and look for the Name column. We're looking for the shot of the Chevy pickup, so select it from the list and the playhead will jump to the first frame of that clip in the timeline. Select the clip of the truck. If you press Delete, a gap will be left in the timeline. I'll undo that. If you want to delete and remove the gap at the same time, you'll need to perform a ripple delete. Select the clip again, and this time press Shift Delete. Let's move the playhead back to the first two B-roll clips. If you scrub over them, there's some unwanted background sounds. If you select just the audio, the video is selected as well. This is because Resolve keeps the picture and sound in a linked relationship, so that when moving or trimming the clips, they will always stay in sync. However, sometimes you need to temporarily break that linked relationship. Click in the gray area to deselect the clip. Click the link selection icon in the toolbar. Now, when you select the audio, the selection does not include the video, and you can delete the audio. However, you want to be very careful with using this tool. Here's why. By turning off link selection, you're not just unlinking one clip, but every clip in the timeline. This means that if you move an audio clip, whether intentionally or not, it will cause your clips to go out of sync, as indicated by the red sync warnings. It's very easy to forget that you've disabled linking and then go about your merry way, only to discover later that you have a bunch of clips out of sync. So there's a much safer way to do this. Re-enable link selection. If you need to delete just the audio of one clip, you can temporarily override linking by holding down the Option key, or the Alt key on a PC, select the audio, then press Delete. Often when editing talking heads like this interview, you don't want to delete an entire clip, but just remove a repetitive sentence or a fumbled word. Move the playhead to the start of the last interview. Then play from there.
Well, according to the government, there's no such thing as Area 51. Well, there actually is on a map. You can pinpoint it. But in terms of its relationship to alien activity, extraterrestrial activity, the government denies just about everything.
So there's a rather obvious place that he stumbles on his words. In the upper left of the toolbar, click the Timeline View Options button. Drag the audio track height slider to the right to make the waveform larger. Then zoom in so you can really see the word breaks. Scrub over the audio listing for where he says alien activity.
To alien activity.
Then move the playhead just before these two words. Press I to mark an endpoint. Now scrub to where he says extraterrestrial activity. Then press O to mark an out point. With the range identified, you can delete it, or rather, ripple delete it, by pressing Shift Delete. Let's play over the edit to see how it sounds.
In terms of its relationship to extraterrestrial activity.
Nice. But what happens if you have additional audio tracks below your dialogue track? Perhaps a music track. Let's find out. Press Shift-Z to fit the clips to the window. Return to the media pool, locate the music bin, then drag the Alien Chaos WAV file into the empty gray area below the A1 track. Resolve assumes that you need a new track for this new audio clip and automatically creates one. Align the left edge of the music with the start of the timeline and release your mouse. We'll be working with this music in a later lesson, but for now, let's lower the volume so we can hear what the subject is saying. Move your pointer over the horizontal line that is running through the upper third of the clip. When your pointer is over the line, you'll see up and down arrows. Drag downward on the line, and when the tooltip reads -15 dB, release your mouse. Move the playhead to the start of the steering clip. Then play back from there.
Make a right turn on Interstate 95 and end up here. And they stop, they get out.
I want to remove the word "and" from his delivery. You can see it here in the waveform. Set an in and out point around this word to isolate it from the rest of the clip.
And
the area that we're about to remove is highlighted. Notice that the music track is also included for deletion. So in order to exclude the music in the A2 track, click the Auto Select button in the track header. Now only the content on V1 and A1 is highlighted. Press Shift Delete. Only the content whose tracks had Auto Select enabled were ripple deleted. The Auto Select buttons are very important buttons to be aware of when editing in the timeline, because they perform so many different functions. Let's look at another common task where they come into play. Move the playhead over the Family Drive clip on V2. A super fast way to create a selection range is to press the X key. An in and out point range is automatically created for the lowest track that has its auto select buttons enabled. So in this case, it's the interview clip on the V1 track. But let's say we wanted to mark a range covering just the clip on V2. Turn off the auto-select buttons for the A1 and V1 tracks, then press the X key again. Because you excluded those tracks, only the clip on V2 has been marked, as indicated by the highlight. With the V2 clip marked, you are set up for a 3-point edit. Go back into the retro bin, hover scrub over the air travel clip, and set an endpoint just as the plane begins to turn. In the timeline, set the destination target to V2, then press F10 to overwrite the family drive clip. Press Option or Alt-X to clear the range. Because of the auto-select buttons, you have total control of what content gets copied and pasted from multiple tracks. Park the playhead over the air travel clip, then press X to mark the clip. Enable the auto-select button for A1, and you're now set up to copy or cut the B-roll clip and the audio from the interview within the marked range. Now perform a cut operation by pressing Command X. Then move the playhead between these first two B-roll clips. Press Command-Shift-V to perform a paste insert. Whoops, we just made a bunch of clips go out of sync. Let's undo that last step. And this time, let's enable the auto-select for V1. Now let's redo the paste insert. By pressing Command-Shift-V. And this time, because the V1 track was included in the edit operation, vis-a-vis its auto-select button, the clips to the right of the insertion are kept in sync. So as you can see, the auto-select buttons perform a lot of editing functions, not the least of which is keeping your content in sync when you're copying and pasting content from tracks. I'll undo those last few steps, then make sure the auto-select buttons are enabled for every track before we move on. The last edit operation we'll look at in this lesson is splitting clips. Scroll down to the end of the timeline. Presently, our music clip is too long. Almost all NLEs have a blade tool, and you'll find resolves in the toolbar. The fastest way to call it up is to press B on your keyboard. Since we'll be doing further editing on this timeline in the next lesson, we don't need to be super precise about where we cut. Move the blade over the music clip a few seconds past the last clip, then click once. An edit point is created. Press A to return to the selection tool, select the music on the right side of the cut and press Delete. Press Shift-Z to fit the clips to the window. In the next lesson, we'll look at how to refine the edit points using a variety of trimming tools.